Time Boys. Time Boys. Time Boys. Time Boys. Time Boys. Time Boys. We drink tea and we're boys, and that's why we're called the T-Team Boys.
Really, man? Really?
I don't want to do this anymore. Is it called the Time Boys? Is it we drink tea and we're boys, and that's what we're called the T-T?
How many times have we done this goddamn
Why
episode?
are we doing this? Why are we a barbershop trio?
Watch the Barbershop Cortillo
Cortillo.
podcast.
You can't watch a podcast for the fifth time.
Tea-Time Boys aren't here at all.
Que pasa? Wait, no, this is recorded? What? This is ridiculous.
Alright, que pasa?
Yeah, this is gonna be the worst one ever.
Okay, I'm gonna sit here.
Okay.
I'm still eating my hamburger.
Did you already introduce him?
No. We have a special guest today, Michael.
Que pasa? Hey, why are you using my real name? Damn it! I'm never gonna get a job after this.
I'll blank it out.
Yeah, it's better.
Michael. Yeah, I got a special guest today. His name's EconBoi.
EconBoi
184.
Oh.
Like, it's the worst gamer tag ever.
Yeah,
EconBoi.
EconBoi.
Imagine the nerd that made his gamer tag EconBoi 184.
I feel like there is a guy out there who made EconBoi 184.
God, I feel really bad for him.
I beat EconBoi 184. There's not too much tea, so Tea-Time Boys is gonna have to.
It's gonna be a short episode of Tea-Time Boys.
Do you know what Tea-Time Boys is about?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, why don't you guess what it's about?
So, they're discussions over a nice cuppa. Tea.
Yeah,
Yeah, pretty much. That's it. I don't know if they're nice discussions, but they're discussions.
Oh, true.
Yeah,
Sometimes,
we've had times where it's been really political, and then it usually ends with like 20 minutes of us yelling about Marvel or something.
Yeah. And then there's a song, like a token song at the end, and just cap it off.
Yeah, like we usually just talk about random shit, and then it ends by asking a weird question.
Yeah.
And I already know what question I'm gonna ask, but I'm gonna save it for the end.
Oh damn! He's done some homework, man. Some preparation.
So, what do you guys think of homework?
oh god,
I know these are some good questions, right?
Yeah.
don't even get me started on homework.
Should we tell him what he's doing right now as we're doing this?
He's studying for econ.
Yeah, he has an exam, so you're not gonna hear from him for the majority of this episode.
Yeah, I know.
And then intermittently he's just gonna interject. Hopefully he's really good at drowning out our annoying voices.
I'm not that annoying.
I know.
I can be though.
I'll do what I can, but I don't know, guys. I'm gonna try my best here.
Alright, what's your opinion on homework?
I think it's necessary to a certain point.
Do you need a pen?
No, I'm just reading.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about
I
me.
can get you a pen.
Do you need biscuits, like teen biscuits?
You know, I never
Like cooking.
understood why people say I want a nice cuppa. They all say cuppa. Have you heard cuppa before?
No,
You're the first person I've ever heard say cuppa.
Really?
I think I've read it, but
Yeah, it's like
people suck nowadays, man. I don't
but
like
it's
what I'm
an
saying.
thing too. It's an
Back
old
in the
thing, too.
20s, that's what the good old days.
No, those are kind of dumb, but at least
When were the good days then?
I told you we had this discussion, man. Like between late '80s to mid 2000s.
So
most of them.
That's the AIDS epidemic.
Good time, Michael. Good time.
Never mind.
Let's just start off the beginning of the best era with killing Freddie Mercury.
That was late '80s. He died in 92 or something.
That's early 90s, late 80s isn't too far off from early 90s.
You know what? Just saying cool things. Saying things that I enjoy. That's one of the things that I enjoy. I think originated and capped off. And now, in the mid 2010s.
We gotta put a year to year thing.
What do you mean year to year thing?
It has to be between this and this.
I don't know. I don't know exactly what they said in 87.
So how about 86 to 2004?
So
Maybe a little
before
bit, maybe a little bit later. Some decent ones were after that. I'm
The
just
only
saying,
reason I
like,
say that is because that's the age group of millennials.
like birth.
Yeah.
2004 millennials.
Apparently.
Oh my gosh.
Well, they're definitely born in the new millennium.
Yeah, but millennials just like the term.
Yeah.
So you
It's a
like
blanket
become like you're growing up during the 2000s. I think that's the idea of like the term millennial.
Except
I
they're
think you have to
30.
be in your mid-teens, like 15 or higher, something like that. No, because that would make it 2000.
So how would a 2000 person born 2003 be in their mid-teen?
Well, that's true. They'd be like 14 now, wouldn't they?
That's crazy.
Yeah,
My
25.
cousin,
That's
my
actually
cousin,
crazy.
she was born in 2002, and she's already going to like grade 10. And she's like, what?
Everyone going to university, I guess, or college next term is going to be born in 2000.
Yeah, it's my cousin.
That's crazy.
That's nuts.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And yeah, I feel so old, even though we're not even that old.
See, I don't feel like that. I've never really felt like that. I feel like the things that are making me really feel old is when I look at someone, like when I used to look at someone in the newspaper, it was like, look at this young boy take the stage by storm, and it was like 22 or like 19, and I was just like in my head, I'm like, I'm younger than them.
Yeah.
And now I have all these people like who are younger than me who are way more successful, and that's what's starting to hit me. Because like a 14-year-old, like, yeah, they're gonna get old, that makes sense, but if there's a 14-year-old who has like 8 million subscribers on YouTube and is making
what
like
the hell?
a couple $100,000 a year, I'd be like,
Yeah, I know.
For me, I think it was a little bit more like sports per se, because like I went to school with a lot of guys who played hockey, even though
big
like I
boys,
didn't.
buff boys,
Boys.
Okay,
frat boys,
that's not the point I was going for.
frat
But,
boys.
like I keep like pace with like sports now, and since we're in Canada, the
They're all
NHL
younger
draft.
than us.
Yeah, they're all younger than
That's
us. Like the
crazy.
NHL draft, like, you have some of the newest, like, best players in the world are younger than us. Like the best player, arguably the new best player in the world, Connor McDavid. He's born in '97,
Yeah.
and it's just like, and you're like, well, because I always remember, like, you always think like as a kid, if you like sports, I guess maybe in the
well,
back
they're
of your head.
older, yeah.
Yeah, no, in the back of your head, like you're thinking, like, yeah, maybe one day I could probably, like, if it, like, there is that very like dream-like chance of you being a pro at some level. And then you're like, and you see that draft class, you're like, yeah, my buddies are in that class. You're like, I know a couple guys in that class. And now it's just like, the guys who are in that class now would have been like, literally like 4 years, like too young for me to actually like talk to.
It feels weird. It just feels
So
like,
it's like, yeah, what?
I wonder what the youngest age you could. I mean, the oldest age you could be to like start like playing a sport and then
Professional?
become professional.
I mean,
I think
Like
it's
how
like
little-
24. Oh, like it might be like I'm guessing. I think 25.
really depends
Like
on the
I think
sport too.
I think Diego Costa for like a really big Brazilian. Well, he plays for Spain, but he's a very famous soccer player, and I think he only started playing like professionally like mid-20s or something.
Like, I mean, from scratch. So it's like,
Yeah, no,
let's
he
say
used to
you-
play. I think just like street ball or something in Brazil,
Yeah.
and he just got discovered or something. I could be wrong, but I'm
I
not
feel
surprised.
like if you're, I don't think you can enter. Really, I think it's one of those things where you gotta really be a part of the world, young, and even if you don't do kind of like, there's a lot of people, like I know a lot of, like I think there's a fair amount of like baseball players who are fairly old, like
What do you mean, like entering old?
no, like they are old still playing.
Oh yeah, for sure. Because baseball, you can yeah.
So,
But
like-
even hockey, some guys too. Like some guys
Yeah,
in their late
they can
30s
help
or
there for
40s.
sure.
Yeah, so it's like I don't think it'd be possible to enter, mostly because a lot of people would just be like, it's just an old fart. Like,
Yeah,
can he
for
do-
sure.
even if you're really good.
Yeah, no, it's way more likely that you have somebody who enters like the bigger version of the game later. That happens so often that you find a guy who's been in lower leagues, albeit professional or semi-pro, and then when they're past, in their mid-30s, they can play for a team that makes it to the big time.
But what I'm saying is that what if one day I decided, I want to be a professional hockey player, and you practice 24/7 for like
Yeah,
10 years. Like I've
you'd
like
be
barely
like 31.
barely
something.
played hockey in my life.
Yeah.
I'm just saying how much.
Time would it take for you to get to that level?
Yeah.
Well, it also depends on the sport, I think, because certain sports, they have, like, the more expansive a sport is, the more like quote unquote professional leagues there are, it just like professional just means you get paid for it, right? So you could be. Do you mean like a full-time professional or even semi-pro?
Even semi-pro.
Okay,
Just
that's
like,
even easier, right? Because let's say like I think hockey is a little more difficult because you need like countries where it's like cold for people to actually try.
mm-hmm.
But if it's a really niche one, like it's very hard to do things like being equestrian is
Yeah.
because they rear them. Yeah, they rear them when they're really really young. You can go until you're 80 if you're an equestrian, but to have the training, you may or may not be able to do it because it's also connections. But I think like with soccer, right? Since I think that's the most played sport in the world, or that, and maybe like
Yeah.
basketball is pretty massive too. But if you're in like a sport like that, then you could totally like do it. I mean, probably the easiest bet for you would be darts. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
Just because like you can like.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of old guys there.
Yeah, I mean all like the really good ones are also you can like pick it up if you become like professional darts player, you can. Or I don't know, maybe bowling.
I think what we were just saying, at least that's what I got, is like how many years or like how long would it take to be recognized?
Yeah.
It depends on the sport.
It's not like
for
sport.
Sure.
Is it time?
Well, I guess it depends on the sport. I don't know.
Yeah, I think a sport definitely has to do with it. But I think the biggest thing is no matter which sport you do, it's pushing yourself. I'd say you need at least 2 years, and then once you get those 2 years done, like say right now, like you're still pretty young. So if you're say you were 30 and you spent 2 years doing really well in hockey, you get to that league and then you apply. I don't think you're gonna get in because you're too old, but not because you suck, but because you're not a good investment.
Yeah, because you don't know how your projection, right?
Yeah, you could be really good right now, but say like in 2 years, if you slip and break your hip,
you're not.
Like a 22-year-old might be able to come back eventually, not be as good, but
or like
come
for a
back.
lower body injury or something really common, like a torn ACL or better than that.
30-something-year-old isn't, so it's more of an investment thing. So I would say
it depends on the person too. Like you have to be at the level. You can't like they're not gonna put a bet on your progression at that level. Like you have to be at the level of guys that can do a similar job for you because competition, right?
Yeah.
It is a market. So if you're at the level where you're at a decent age, or what you offer is either desperate, that team's in desperate need for it, and you're giving them a good deal at that point in time. Sure, you can make it. Your longevity, that's definitely in question because they can just kick you. They could just end your contract, or depending on the sport, like if it's NFL, they'll just cut you. But they'll sign you for a small term contract. They'll you won't sign an extension. They'll just like try to get guys in the farm system that are like significantly younger than you in sports terms, so that they can rear up. Obviously, in every single like investment in sports, you're always looking at a projection and not a certainty. Like who knows? Like this guy could be, or a dude could be. Let's say he gets to the big time at 31. Only played only in like one other big league for 2 years. So this guy's 31. He's let's say just under average level of performance in most areas, but pretty good in
Chad Ridington.
Yeah, so Chad Ridington is
his friends call him Sean.
So Sean is basically is above average.
Are you his friend though? Should you be able to call him Sean? It's Mr. Ridington.
So, Mr.
I'm his friend, so I can call him Sean.
Okay. So, can I refer to him Sean for argument's sake?
I don't know if Sean would like that.
Okay, you could refer to him as Sean.
Who the fuck are you to say that?
Because Sean's my friend.
So, Mr. Ridington, let's say Mr. Ridington is, he's like below average on most areas, but exceptional in a couple areas, and a certain team is lacking in those specific skill areas. Sure, the guy can get the contract, but that contract may be half a year.
Yeah.
And
I think also too, like
be a great story, but it's not gonna last.
I think going back to that sort of thing too, I think it'd be really cool. I think like hypothetically, we should also test out, because I think it's easy just to dismiss it like, oh, investors won't do it. I wonder if something more niche. Say for example, like
well, I don't think it would matter as long as the ticket sales would go. Imagine like if that story happens and they could sell a bunch of tickets.
Well, say for example,
for sure they do it.
No, but like niche, I mean like the first thing that pops in my head is like esports stuff. So for example, you don't specifically need someone like, okay, you do need people in like League of Legends and stuff, but say like a fighting game like Street Fighter, Smash Bros, all that stuff. You don't specifically need someone to get up there and do professionally. You can do it professionally by yourself with no one. You can.
For sure.
So like if you're doing that hypothetical, I'd say it'd take you.
It also depends on your talent level. If you're a guy like me, like there's no way I'd get up there.
I think it's about motivation. I think it's about keeping up with trends. 'Cause I think the biggest thing too is you're going up too, and you may be going like at an angle that's like maybe like 70 degrees, like on a chart. But then if they're going at 45 degrees, but they're already ahead of you, like you can't just catch up right away. Like you have to catch up and then some.
Yeah, it's also
so you could be where they're at
too.
2 years ago, but it's 2 years ago.
Like I said, with certain sports, like I mentioned before, like with darts and let's say with billiards or something like that, like or in poker, if you want to call that a sport, you can.
I would.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You don't even. If you consider like those activities under like the whole scope of what we're talking about, then those don't need an excessive amount of time depending on your talent level. Like it's not like you need, like for hockey, you need like a lot of it. Like this is coming from a friend of mine who.
You need a lot of physical stuff.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's not just mental.
Like his like he played hockey at AAA a little bit, and then went down to AA. Now he's not playing anymore at a like semi-high level. But he was telling me that at a certain point, it's just genetics. Like not every like it's rare. Like if you look at those guys, it's rare to find a dude who's below 5'11".
Yeah.
You know, and these guys have crazy good conditioning and do this all their life and have a sense of the game. And sometimes it's not even about how you can develop a sense of the game. It's just automatic. So if you can automatically think of a course of action like subconsciously without doing it,
you're ahead of the game.
Yeah, and that you can't really train. It's really hard to train that in people if it's trainable at all in certain people. So if you start late with all those factors against you, like there's stories of guys for sure that could probably go on a winning team by the end of their career when they've struggled between a lower professional league for sure, and their gifts and tools are good for a Stanley Cup winning team. And even if they don't play a lot, they're still on the team. They still get their name on the cup. But that doesn't mean like they can just start from scratch and work it out. I mean, those guys like especially with that kind of sport, it's a culture, right? Nowadays they're start rearing kids from young. I was reading like an article on Snapchat I think a couple weeks ago from might be Bleacher Report or something, and they were talking about there's this kid who's his name escapes me, but he's apparently they tout him to be the next LeBron James, but he's only 9, and he's beating kids who are 16 just on like a one-on-one court.
Yeah, you hear stories like that all the time though.
Yeah, and the problem is they gotta rear these kids up, and his mom's like, I don't want this kid to lose his childhood, but
that's
for sure, that's a huge.
It's a community, and the more rep leagues they have in there, like with that Lonzo Ball's dad, like LeVar Ball, that dude started his own. The dude has his own.
Sneaker line.
There's a guy named Lonzo Balls.
No, his name's this guy's
second draft pick.
His name's Lonzo Ball. His surname is Ball.
I was just like Lonzo Balls, and I'm like, that's Alonzo Balls. I like to think of it as like the Olympic thing, like the Olympic syndrome, where you have kids gymnastic people, especially for example in China when they're a lot younger, it's they're good till they're 17, and then it's all right.
That's almost everywhere too.
Yeah, but it's one of those things where it's it's are you cutting away their childhood?
Yeah, but that's more of an ethical issue versus
are they able to do it?
Is it actually possible for them?
With certain sports, even another one that came to mind was volleyball. I was just watching a little bit today. There's Canada Games are happening right now.
Men's or women's?
It was women's.
Nice.
How many people watch men's volleyball?
I watch it a couple times. I do it.
Yeah, but
6 man as well as beach.
I mean, comparatively, I feel like men's volleyball is one of the least talked about things.
It's fun as hell, man. Though. And what do you mean,
playing
beach volleyball?
Do you mean playing volleyball is fun?
Yeah, but I'm saying beach volleyball or court.
Either.
Well, court. I swear, I was watching a lot of court.
You're definitely I'd say women is
women, yeah. But it's also that makes a lot of sense. But I have a feeling like Canadians, they really come together no matter what sport's on during the Olympics. Like, I swear. Like during 2016 Olympics, whatever they're going to show, if it has Canada on it, unless it's like some really weird ass sport, people are going to watch for at least a little bit, no matter what gender.
I never got that shooting one.
What do you mean? Oh, you mean like biathlon?
Ski, ski.
Yeah, biathlon? Yeah, it's kind of weird. But, like, I was watching... My point was I was watching this... I was watching it, like, today, and now that I thought of it, I've heard of them. There's this... I think her name's like either Nicole Brana or not Misty. It was Misty May Trainer's old partner back in the day, but I think now this woman's like 35, 36, and she's still doing it. And
she's old.
But for athletics,
but
like for athletics, that is.
What's she doing?
She was a beach volleyball player. And I was watching and you know I was flipping channels. I was watching this. I think it was. They were just about to show like Ontario versus like Manitoba for the Canada Games, and the girls there are 17 and 19. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah, but I think if you're like doing Ontario Manitoba level, you're not quite at like Team Canada level. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand that, but that's still a possibility. Like being like an 18-year-old in the Olympics, like Penny Alexiak.
Yeah.
She's 16.
Yeah. She
won like what, two gold medals and like a bronze. Or something?
How old is the guy who's the Canadian guy who ran against
Andre DeGrasse?
Yeah, how old is he?
Yeah, no, he's early 20s.
He's 23, I think.
Yeah, he's pretty young though. That's like pretty damn.
He actually went to school with my roommate.
Yeah, because it's not like you know in Canada it's everybody like it's not even like a 6 degrees of separation. Like everybody knows somebody who knows somebody. Like Penny Alexiak too. Like my neighbor, like 2 doors down. Her like best friend's daughter like is best friends with her or something.
Oh wow!
Like it's like there's so many connections. It's not even hard at this point in time. Like where do you go? Vaughan secondary or something?
No, they were on track team together.
Oh, like a rep track team, like track club.
I have no idea. I think it was like through school or something.
Oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah, middle school apparently.
Oh yeah.
I was like middle school. They did.
Well,
track
I can
together.
say that too with some like guys I think in NHL. Like I went to. Okay, I don't know. There was this dude. I think it was vying for a World Junior spot named Jordan Binnington, and I think I went to elementary school with this guy. And I talked to him twice. But like everybody knows like one guy to do it. You guys went to like a really big school in Toronto.
So
you probably know a couple.
I was about to say like it's really weird seeing people like 2 of our high school friends. One met Justin Trudeau quite recently. You know, the drop bike.
Oh, true.
He's the CEO of Drop Bike, and like it's a pretty cool concept. But everyone knew that guy was going to do well because
he had the highest average.
He had the highest average. Like, okay, just to tell you this, my English teacher told me that if you get a 90 on an essay, you're like genius level. Like you're doing something really, really well, and he finished with a 96 in his course.
That's gnarly.
So like, dude was smart. He knew what to do. Like, clearly, everyone was just like pinging him to be like top line guy, and it makes sense
for sure.
Another guy, you remember Mark?
No. Oh yeah, he has his own thing too.
He just partnered up with this other guy who got a $400 million. I read an article about it. He partnered up with a guy who just got $400 million for another investment, and now he's partnered up with Mark, who are now doing this thing called Second Closet, which is basically like they come to your door. It's a
storage sort of thing.
It's a storage thing, but they come to your door and take your boxes away for you, so you don't have to like hassle about that stuff.
Smart.
It's pretty cool. It's like honestly with that sort of stuff, like honestly, it's like weird. It's just I don't know if I should feel like. Because then there's other people who I know are doing way worse.
I don't know. They're always.
It feels weird being. Feels weird being average. You know.
Well, why not? You can be comfortable as long as you're fine with it.
No, I'm comfortable. I'm just saying. It's just like sometimes you're just like.
What if? Why not?
I'm not bad.
Why not?
I'm not the best. You know. It's just like, huh.
I find like I'm fine with it because like if you're not trying to be like you can't be the best at everything, but as long as I think you can if your contribution is recognized and important, I think that's the most important thing for self-satisfaction.
If my mom puts my report card on the refrigerator, it's good for me. Who cares about?
Sometimes that's all it takes. Sometimes that's all it takes, though.
Like for me, it's recognition in a project. Like I dropped out of a project that my friends and peers they were doing for like the NASA project. It was for like a space
the rocket
suit.
one.
It was like a waste disposal suit that.
Oh, true.
So they ended up being getting interviewed
so
for.
It's a poo suit.
Like it's what they're gonna put in the spacesuit for like
Getting rid of.
Yeah, for getting rid of all bodily waste.
So it's a poo suit.
Not just a poo suit.
But it's a poo suit.
Poo and pee.
Partially a poo suit.
Could we not talk?
Yo, NASA, I got your poo suit right here.
But
Okay.
they did really well for a bunch of undergrads. Like they were going up against people with like PhDs and master's degrees and all that stuff, and they ended up doing really well. And I could have been on the team to do it, but I hadn't felt as like anxious or nervous or self-conscious as when I was at one of those meetings. And I didn't contribute anything.
It's
I was like, I didn't think I deserved to be there because I knew I wasn't going to contribute. So I withdrew from it, and they did really well. And I'm not. I think
Do you regret it?
Well, only because the only part I would regret it was only because like after the fact, if my buddy like gave me the confidence, in confidence would tell me that this is where you could have contributed, or I know you could have contributed in this regard or better than what the end product was, then I would regret it if I had his like blessing for that. But other than that, like my thought process in the moment, I don't regret it all. Like hindsight's 20/20, but in the moment, my thought process, I do not regret me recusing myself from that stuff because I didn't feel like
I feel like the thing is, if you're on a project like that and it's just like a student project, no matter what, 95% of the time you're gonna find there will be a place for you on that team, even if it doesn't look like it at first. Because like I've been through this a lot of times, like 3-4 times at least.
But this wasn't like a team, like let's say this wasn't like an official like team that has like a group of people like every year. This was like an independent project, like a one-time thing. It was supposed to be like very it only got recognition after success, and it was like very. And it was kind of like informal, so I walked into it with kind of like, okay, let's kind of like do this thing, and then when you're hearing like ideas being chucked around left, right, and center, and I'm just sitting there,
like,
and I'm just like sitting there trying to make maybe like one quit.
Because it's one of those
like second, third, whatever. It wasn't just the first meeting I quit. Like I wasn't being a punk. Like I met with him a couple more times, and then I realized I was like, no, this is like I know I won't be able to like myself have the motivation or actually put the time aside to guarantee you a successful outcome. And if I can't do that for you, then I didn't believe like I should be part of the project, and that's why I just kind of like recused myself of it, and they ended up doing really well.
See, I feel like it really depends on how much time and effort you put in. Like Rouge has done some stuff where like he's put like time and effort, like I've seen you do that sort of shit, and then like it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, sometimes it doesn't. Like
at least you knew you were like putting. It wasn't like you.
I had no
didn't
idea.
think you could fulfill your portion of it. I just felt like I couldn't bring what they. Let's say they asked me to do something. I was almost in the headspace where I was just like, well, I don't know where to start.
Yeah,
I don't know where to go, and it's just like this is never going to come in the appropriate time.
I know exactly.
And I have other priorities like my actual schooling.
Yeah.
To like that, I would focus on more.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, trust me, it's happened like so much to me. Like, if you like,
I didn't know you were in so many projects, man.
Yeah, like it's
it's
one or two.
That's right. Every time I come back to the summer or something, it's just like, yo, look, I found a new thing. We found the poo suits for ferrets.
Yeah, man. Poo suits for ferrets. Next big thing. Elon, get on this.
Free ferret shirts.
Free ferret shirts. So, first time I did it, I was like, what am I doing here? Like, these people are way smarter than me. Like, you feel so, like, you feel like
outmatched.
Everybody knows, like, so much more than you. Feel completely outmatched, yeah, for sure. But, if you just, sometimes you gotta just take the extra step, you know? Even if you think, oh, yeah, I'm not gonna be able to do anything, you, like, ask the people around you, you're like, what can I do, and then they tell you, like you said, to do something, or like, where do I start?
It's more of a feeling for me rather than like an actual
I don't think you should regret it, because if it was like a school, no, like what I'm saying is that, like, from my perspective, if it was like a job or a school club or something like that, I think there'd be a little bit more merit. But since it's just more of an informal thing, like, honestly, I feel the same. I kind of feel the same way. If I was like drawn into something at first, and it was informal.
Well, it wasn't. It started out as informal, but then got way more formal when success came about, especially with their like.
But you weren't there. You weren't there for being.
I wasn't there for when they actually got their stuff together and put it together, and it actually ended up being like they ended up a couple guys ended up. What happened there was the group kind of grew more and kind of like amalgamated, and
it became a super group.
Not even really. Like everything ended up getting done, but there was more emphasis that the work wasn't evenly distributed, and so the recognition got put on more. And it was also they had a monetary value that was given, and so that was split up according to the amount of work that was there. And I just didn't want. First of all, I didn't want the money because I didn't feel like I was contributing appropriately.
Like he immediately goes to a strip club.
Yeah. I feel like
those situations I would never be in.
Those issues just kind of happen no matter what you're dealing with. It's happened in 3 of the projects I've worked with so far. But honestly, I feel like if you're drawn in at first, there was a reason for that. Right?
Well, not really, because what happened was it wasn't like I was selected. It was like my buddies wanted to do it, and I just kind of tagged along. And
you were like, "Oh, this is a cool idea. Why would you tag along otherwise?"
Yeah, a bit, but I didn't have as much of a burning interest as they did. So it was also that's another reason. Like I didn't have that inner drive in order to put aside the extra time aside from my immediate schooling.
That's fair.
To do it, and even I told my friend about my reasoning behind it. Like I didn't think I could appropriately contribute in the ways which were necessary, and he really respected that.
Okay, that's awesome then.
So it wasn't it didn't cause any discord or anything like that.
Yeah.
It was more like
sometimes
it was more like a thing that was up with me that I knew I couldn't do it, and I didn't feel like I actually got really anxious and kind of freaked out one of those days, just because and I hadn't felt like that in the longest of times that I didn't belong, like how sometimes when you feel very
alienated.
Alienated from a situation, it makes you really freaked out and sad and stuff.
Especially when you see your friends there.
Yeah, it was kind of I didn't feel like I could actually, since I wasn't actively contributing in any which way. It was more I kind of have a tendency to kind of alienate myself in certain ways, and it hadn't come in that amount of force in a while.
I know it.
And so that's why I was like, no man, I had to leave. I had to get out of there and just not be part of it.
I had something like that hit me recently. It was where was it? I was like, why can't? Oh, I know what it was. It was the office after party. It felt like we did this scavenger hunt thing for an office thingy bobber. It was just team building exercise, blah 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 blah. And then afterwards, after the scavenger hunt, we went to a bar, and I know what you mean. What happened is all the people that I knew kind of split off, and it felt it didn't feel like I was in university kind of splitting mode. It felt like I was back in high school for a second. Yeah. Where it felt like I was just I could. It wasn't I don't want to. It was I couldn't talk to people.
Yeah.
And there's a weird difference where it's I feel like once you get a certain maturity level, you're
for sure.
I'm confident enough to talk to people, but I'm chill here. But then when you get that anxiety back, it's almost kind of freaky.
Yeah. I think the difference is that now let's say if you're in an awkward situation or some situations like that, you can either recognize as awkward and you can kind of deal with it appropriately, or just you find resolution since you're in your more mature headspace. But I think with those situations, what you're speaking about is that they're kind of everyone else is moving in a certain direction that you're not at the same pace with, and you're not. It's not you necessarily, and you're seeing them move away from you, but you're not necessarily you don't have to be behind them, either in communication or in progress or not actually in a physical space, but. You're in the same physical space, but they're miles above you, and further ahead in their dialogue or in their conversation or in their kind of jargon, and you're just kind of left behind.
And honestly, I know what you're saying, but sometimes here and there you'll find something, and then even if you're light years behind, when I found the project I'm working on now, when I found out about it, and they for some reason decided to accept me onto the team, I think
Because of your award-winning smile.
yeah, probably.
It's your charm. It's your charm.
What about ask them what their favorite McDonald's item is?
Yeah. You know, I had an interview
what?
at Don's.
Have you heard this story?
It was so stupid.
You interviewed...
You went to Don's.
Wait, so you interviewed for a McDonald's job?
I interviewed for a McDonald's.
How desperate are you, bud?
Yo, I didn't know what I was going to do this summer, man. So...
Was it this summer?
It was this summer. It was for
at
this
least
summer.
do second cup. Have some respect.
So
Hey, man.
I walk in and they give me the interview. And I'm like...
it was National Hire Day.
It was National Hire Day, so they give everyone the interview. So I go in and I'm like talking to them, I give them my resume or whatever, and we do the interview. It was like really short, like 2 questions, and then they're like, "Do you have any questions for me?" So I like asked them something about like working cash versus working in kitchen or whatever, and then she's like, "Do you have anything else?" And I'm like, "Damn, I need to ask her another question. What do I do here? What's your favorite item on the menu?" And the lady just was like, "Whoa, did he actually just ask me that?" So at first I was like, I can't believe I said that, but I'm gonna roll with it anyway. And
I'm just really passionate about like the product. I just want to know your opinion.
Junior chickens are alive.
So she was like, "I really like the quarter pounder," and I'm like, "That's a good one. Yeah, I respect it." And then
that's a good one.
And then she was like, then the person interviewing me was like, "But after I've had a couple drinks here and there, I don't mind some junior chickens or McNuggets." I'm like, my girl.
And did you get the job?
No, I never heard back.
Yeah. Did she ask you the same question back? Did you ever like?
Yeah, she did ask me the same question. I just agreed with her. I'm like, yeah, I like what you like.
Cool.
Quarter pounders of my life. Chicken nuggets are my family. Yeah. Anyway, what was I saying?
I have no idea where you're going at before this.
No,
we talked about alienation, and somehow we got to you and McDonald's.
Oh yeah, so
he was on the project.
Yeah, they hired me on the project for some reason, and then I went to their first meeting.
Yeah.
And I was like, "What is going on? What are they talking about?" I was so behind on everything. I couldn't understand a word they were saying. Something just fell out of my hair.
No, it fell from your eyebrow.
Oh, really?
I saw it the whole time.
Oh man. Okay. Anyway, so I was like, "What is happening?" But like, I really wanted to be a part of this project. So I think that night, I stayed up till like 5 a.m, like researching
everything they talked about.
Like some of what they talked. I still don't know like 30% of what they were talking
Waterloo?
about. What is yeah. It was, but so I mean, like sometimes you'll just find the drive like out of nowhere, and I'm like one of the least motivated people I know. Like it like doesn't happen. Like with school, that's not gonna happen to me. Like,
I still think you haven't found the thing that motivates, like not motivates you, but really interests you yet.
Like school wise.
School wise, yeah.
Yeah.
I think like for example, like I know exactly how you feel. That's what I did when I got the finance job. Because I didn't know shit about finance, and then the guy's just like, "All right, figure it out. We're gonna make you do all this shit." And I was like, "What?" The worst that I feel was when it's when you feel confident and you get knocked down a peg. And so, for example, for me, I was doing this like the daily stuff at the job, and then suddenly the guy comes up to me. He's like, "Hey, dude, I need you to write an annual report. Don't worry, it's the smallest client. Just write the report, put in numbers. You're good. I gotta go away for 2 weeks. Finish it when I come back. Bye." He goes to watch. I think he went to like the Sahara Desert and looked at the stars or some shit like that. He's talking about it later. And I was like, that's easy, because I didn't have to change too many words. It was the same format, but I had to change like, instead of like net 2016 value was, I have to say net 2017 value was, or whatever, right? Like current year. That was it. Problem was he gave me 34 different Excel documents, all with things I had no idea what they were, because it didn't say, like, for example, net income wasn't net income, it was NI. But then net NI could also mean something like net inequality or something like that. Like, it meant all this different stuff, and I was so confused, and I was freaking the fuck out, because for the first week I couldn't figure out shit. And it was like the scariest thing.
Did he leave?
I just asked one of the other guys, and he helped me through everything and all that stuff.
Okay, yeah, because like if you don't, when you get knocked down a peg, I think that's fine as long as you know where the learning curve is. Like, as long as you know that who to go and, like, they have, and your peers or you have confidence in yourself that you can learn it by the end of it. For me, I
wasn't learning.
Yeah. I mean, like for me, it was. I recently had to do a presentation for my work, which was kind of a culmination of what I was supposed to be researching independently the whole time. I mean, I'm a research assistant, but I do a lot of practical work, and I recently had to do a presentation about this topic I chose in order to kind of validate the research aspect of being a research assistant. Now, at the beginning of it, like throughout the whole like process, it was kind of.
Sorry, do you want some tea, boys?
Sure, I'll have a little
some tea time, boys.
I'm gonna put that shameless plug in there.
Sure.
You already got an extra cup.
I actually had some more.
I saw you.
So, in order to validate that for that in order to kind of like validate the research part of it, we had this presentation, but there wasn't like a necessary. I'm not being graded on it. There wasn't, and there wasn't. It's not gonna I'm not gonna get fired if I do a bad job on it because like I already signed a contract. It's just about impressing your boss.
Fire me, bitch.
It's about impressing
Unionize and you put it
for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's about impressing your boss, but also like they didn't have, unlike any presentations that I've done previously. There's no sort of outline. There's no sort of kind of like direction to it. It was more like a couple times the guy, one of my coworkers would tell me, or like he was higher up, his actual graduate student, he would tell me, you should put this in there, or like you should put these couple elements in there, these very basic elements of your topic. But it wasn't super specific, and it was kind of like, I set the date for the presentation. If the boss doesn't set it,
it's the worst. It's the worst.
Yeah.
You set your own deadline.
Yeah, you set that there, and you kind of choose what to talk about as well. And I'm always the guy who tends to freak out over stuff, so I was kind of like, what am I supposed to do? And they're like, you'll be fine as long as you just know your stuff. It ended up working out okay. Obviously could have been a little bit better just because I ended up working really, really hard that past week. Stayed up till like 2 a.m. to finalize a PowerPoint slide. I ended up going, as per usual, going overboard, getting more sources than I needed to prove my point.
Did
you cite it like Chicago style on all that shit?
No, we do IEEE because we're engineers.
Oh.
So.
I don't know what that is.
International. It's like in something of electrical. Something of electrical engineers, and
every format.
What's the format?
Like, how's it different from APA or?
I don't know how.
It's not that. It's not that. It's not that much different. It's just, It's just like italics versus non-italics, or like what. You can look it up, but it really isn't that much different. It's just people, get ornery about this in academia.
I just use the generator.
APA Owl? No, what was it?
The Owl
Site
from
Owl?
Purdue.
Owl Site?
Yeah, Purdue,
yeah.
Purdue Owl, yeah.
The thing's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I'd save my ass.
Except it'll be something like, I found everything except, and then it gives you everything. It's like, dude, you have the website.
Well, I just used like Cite This for me, and you can you could select it and you can select what kind of like source you had and then what type of citation, and I'll do it.
What's great if you're going through papers on like Google,
I went through mainly my school's library.
Oh, true. But I know
it's like database or like
and I actually went and got books.
Like Google Scholar gives you the citations in like 4 different formats. It's pretty great.
Oh yeah, Google's awesome with that shit, man.
Yeah. So, but sometimes they don't include all the information that could be found otherwise.
For sure.
You are like definition of my high school librarian's like dream kid. Cause he like legit from grade 10 all the way to grade 12. You just go like, guys, you can't use Google to do academic papers.
No, you totally can.
You need databases and you need books. I use like 2 databases.
No, I'm
the entire time.
For me that didn't change until I got like more often than not. Like I really got into it once you got into university. Sometimes I did in high school too, but not that I couldn't use Google. I just find it's easier to find stuff in the library because sometimes
use Google Scholar. It's really good.
Yeah, but you may not get access to the entire work.
Yeah, but if you go to Google Scholar, you can go under your username, your university.
All right.
Yeah, like for example, I set it up so you can do Google Scholar McMaster, so it shows you everything that McMaster has.
Under all the databases you have.
Oh, that's freaking sweet.
Well, I just went straight to my school's one, and I actually ended up getting like books from my topic was really, it's not new. It's been around in engineering and scientific analysis for over 100 years. So I ended up getting books from the latest
Science
edition was
of the steam engine.
from like 87. Like these really old books just because I wanted to know the introductory stuff. So I ended up getting these. I ended up taking out like 4 books and going through them and making notes for my PowerPoint presentation. And so I had 4 books and 6 or 7, academic papers, and still could have gotten more. But the problem for me with like certain academic papers is that they're all specific. The reason there's so many millions of academic papers is because you can write a paper on something so tiny. The title's like 15 words long. And you write a separate paper on it, and the paper could be between
like
the 2
main
pages.
Season of Australian Northeastern Atlantic turtles within the seasonal months of July 26th to August 4th.
Then that's a paper. It could be 2 pages long, or it could be like 4, or it could be 50.
It's probably like 50.
Or it could be, it could be 50, right? But it doesn't. There's no necessary length for any academic paper, and so you have to read the abstract, which may or may not be helpful, and see if it helps towards your topic. And since I didn't know any specifics about it, it really freaked me out over what to put on the original. When I was originally getting sources. What ended up happening was I ended up reading a textbook, or a textbook or prepared by a guy in the field with which I work. I ended up going through 4 chapters in that textbook and not using a single thing. And I used I used everything. Like I spent 2 weeks at my work before they gave me practical stuff to do, kind of studying and putting the stuff in, making notes on it. I never used it. And I used all the stuff later. Kind of just. Look for the bell. What is this?
It's Econ Time with your host, Rouge Buttface.
What am I?
You're gonna teach us some econ.
Yeah, we're gonna check out for a bit, and this guy's gonna study because he might as well, because he has a final bit, and since he's been active.
You'll probably just hear some background. You have. I will time you.
What am I doing though? What do you want me to do?
You get
with a
3
microphone.
minutes, and you gotta use the microphone specifically to talk about econ.
So
you're studying, and you better be entertaining, because these guys definitely aren't listening to. If they're not listening to probably not gonna listen.
We're just gonna put away the tea, so you gotta do stuff.
Oh man,
Have fun, boys.
I don't know where to start here. I'm doing a course on international economics and international trade. I don't know how I'm supposed to make this interesting. So let's say I have. Oh my god.
What did you do?
I broke it.
Oh, it's fucking over. So much for econ.
Wow.
The teapot has been broken. It's over. Time Bois. Time Bois will be going on hiatus next week. Until further notice.
I thought it was here.
We are down 1 teapot. Our only teapot. So if you guys would like to donate so we could buy a new teapot, that would be much appreciated. We are currently looking for the glass around the kitchen. Oh man. Yeah, I don't know how I'm supposed to explain this economics. Why don't we start with there's something called the whole model. The HO model, the whole model. I don't want to explain this.
Keep going.
Oh my god. This is absolutely brutal. Let's say I have four cows, and the country next door has 4 cows. Has 4 sheep, but I only need two cows. But I can't get sheep, so I want the sheep from the neighbor. So I give the neighbor 2 cows.
What metaphor are you using?
No, this is international trade, man. So, okay, pretty much I need sheep. I don't have sheep. I have cows, and I have extra cows. So I give my extra cows to the neighbor, and they give me sheep. And then that is international trade. I think I'm gonna be fine on this exam. This is gonna be a piece of cake. Yeah, I think everything about this class is just ridiculous. We got the midterms back a couple of weeks ago, and this one girl was crying because her mark was really low. One of the midterms is the 3rd year economics class. It just makes you wonder, why, how could the prof make a midterm that hard that makes like some girl start crying in the middle of class? It was pretty brutal. The prof's pretty great though. He has like this really thick African accent. I think he's from Kenya. Yeah, he has this really thick African accent, and in first year I took my.
What does this have to do with econ?
Yeah, I took my.
You're ruining
micro. I took my microeconomics class with this African professor, and every example he gave would be about beer, but he'd say it like beer.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about supply and demand, and how only an alcoholic would buy beer for $9. And all his examples were beer and ice cream. I think those were.
I had a prof whose her only examples for econ had to do with her favorite football team, the Packers.
Seriously?
Yeah, and every like PowerPoint slide would always show us some picture of like the Packers,
Aaron
like
Rodgers and freaking Clay Matthews.
just like catching something or touchdown or something like that.
Did she love Pitch Perfect 2? Because apparently.
Oh yeah, they were in it. They were in the movie. That was really.
Apparently,
funny.
yeah, they knew. Apparently, these guys
super
they knew
weird.
the whole like ending song from the first movie, and they just chucked them in the second movie.
Awesome.
I was
These
like,
guys are like
what?
6'4" and like 200.
You got Anna Kendrick who's like
They were at the riff
5
off.
feet.
They were at the riff off. So it was like, you know, when they like sing a song, other team has to like play off that song, and it goes off a theme or whatever.
Yeah.
The Packers were in that. It was so weird. I was like, what is happening right now?
Of course, I love how you
Spoilers
know
for
like, the
anyone
entire movie back to front.
I dare you. Do you want to try the? How does the riff off thing? Even
I
work
don't
again?
really. I think it's like you have a theme.
Have you been in an improv class?
No, I haven't.
Because I have a feeling you'd be the guy who would desperately want to be like, man, I should have gone to the improv class when I was like, when I was like 17.
Yes, and
So, pretty much a riff off is you have a theme, and
all right, the theme's dinosaurs.
no, but the theme has to do with songs. You have to have a song
Open the
about
door,
dinosaurs.
get on the floor, everybody will do the dinosaur.
And then
What is
you use a word from that song, and another person has to chime in with another song that has that same word in it from that point in the
Right.
song.
You guys know, no, I'm not doing this
Let's
because
do
there's
it.
no way that
I'll start with
I don't
dinosaurs.
know.
No,
I don't know songs
I
about
don't know how.
dinosaurs.
I have no
Okay,
idea
okay,
what
we'll
this
just-
is.
Okay, no. So do it.
I'm not
do
doing
it.
this.
Open the door, get on the floor.
Is it a real song?
Everybody walk the dinosaur.
Is this a real
Amara
song?
imagination, like Barney. I don't remember the Barney song. Barney
wanna-
was the dinosaur.
Oh, that
Could you do like
There's no offense, but those movies cannot make acapella cool for me. I just cannot get into that.
Yo, acapella is like pretty crazy.
It's hardcore. I'm not gonna die. It's
so
a
talented.
hardcore, and you gotta be really talented to do it. But doing those competitions, it's not my cup of tea.
That's
Ah.
oh my god, just like shoot me.
Michael was then shot off from this. I destroyed the teacup and I feel bad now.
The teacup or the teapot?
I was holding it like
the
this. I guess you can't really see, but like I was holding it and I was bringing the teacup towards the
Pot.
The teapot.
Yeah, it's called a teapot. And I was bringing it towards the counter, but then I guess it was too low. I thought it was higher.
Oh my
It was too
God.
low and it went and hit the bottom.
It broke off, and now it's.
So-
So I broke off the
Gone,
part,
so.
so it's just it's gone, it's done. So
There's no bottom.
let's try a riff off right now.
No, I'm not doing
theme.
this.
Just take us.
Yo, you need a theme though. That's the whole point.
What theme do you think?
You should be studying econ. It's not a freaking rip off.
I've
Riff
talked
off,
about the
whatever.
whole model
Is like
already.
happy a theme?
Yeah, sure. Happy.
All right, go.
No.
Okay, you start.
Because I'm happy couple on if you feel like a room without a roof.
I don't know. I don't know enough. I don't want to do this. See, I
We're
can't
checking
think
the
of the song.
songs in early because usually we do this way at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I usually ask a question around the 1 hour mark, so we got 8 more minutes on topic before I'm just breaking the fourth wall or whatever.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it's really funny. You can see like a large spike, and you go, see? It's like a really large spike. And now I'm going to hate myself later because I have to edit that, and I fucking hate it. It's the worst thing. I hate those things. Because it cuts off, so it goes like, and it sounds terrible.
Fun.
What's up? Welcome back to Time Bois.
Oh man, I'm back too, but we don't have any tea anymore.
No, it's just apple juice and sadness.
Rip teapot.
Just what you guys asked for.
Yeah, basically we had to cut there because Rouge got really mad about the tea time, and we had a big old fight. And then he traded me a few cows. I gave him a few sheep.
You know, I don't want to explain the other stuff.
So, sorry, Stuart, when I was downstairs, I saw that poster. That was, I just sort of, I love that not only did you apparently buy the Globe and Mail, but even in the paper you bought, they only gave your movie 4 out of 5 stars.
Yeah, I love how I created my own Stuart in the Mail, Stu York Times. Why did I say Stu York Times? Why did I say Stu York Times? Stu York Times.
You realize how easy that makes the New York Times, you.
And then the Stuart Star. And all of them gave them, like, not great reviews. It was, like, all mediocre reviews. I found a thing
you put on the,
So in your own fantasy world, you're not even great.
I found a thing.
We were very depressed children.
I was just realistic. I was like, I found a poster of me that's like Norbert the Alien. No, Norbert?
Norbert?
No, I just saw the review. I didn't want to linger on it.
I was like,
I'm recording this because it's fantastic material.
Norbert the Alien. I drew it. I think I was 12. But I don't look.
What?
I don't look 12, but I don't draw like a 12-year-old. It's saying stuff like.
I thought it was from like grade 2 or something.
it said produced. I don't think a 2-year-old really knows about producing.
2-year-old? Maybe you were really
7-year-old.
cinematic.
7-year-old, sorry, 2nd grader.
Maybe you were really cinematic.
No.
2nd grade.
I mean, like, that shows up on like all the credits. Maybe you just picked it up.
No, and there's a picture beside me as well. Like, I look like I'm 7, so it was probably like 12.
Alright.
Because, you know, that's how I roll.
Savage.
Yeah, that's the sadness. What were we talking about?
Making fun of
Cows and sheep. You know, I actually know this course.
you're just terrible at explaining it.
The effect of trade is to lower prices everywhere. There you go, boys. That's how you learn.
I thought you were going to give a specific definition of a specific topic. And then you're just like, so if I give somebody something...
I'm explaining what trade is. That's what I'm doing.
Buy 5 rubles and Fred has 7 rubles. He must give me 1 ruble. It is fair.
No, I just got one. No.
That's how it goes, right?
Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
You know what, Skirt? I'm just going to ask the question anyway. So every time at the end of T-Boys, we ask
Tea Time Boys.
We ask a question.
Now I'm wondering the name of this whole thing. Maybe it should be the T-Boys.
There's a thing now?
Yeah, I've done it a couple times. We did a thing where it's like, one time it was, what's your opinion on sand?
On sand?
What is your
It's
opinion on
coarse.
sand?
Sucks.
It's coarse.
Son of a bitch, like, you wear sandals, right? It's like, oh, it's sandals,
Sandals?
And it's like all on your toes, and in between it's just like grinding every time you move your toes, and it's fucking intolerable. I have strong opinions of sand.
See, that's what I said. I was just like, they're like little rocks. Make up your fucking mind.
Or like when you're wearing like sneakers and you just like happen to walk through like sand or something.
You're walking down the Amazonian desert, you get into quicksand again.
Amazonian desert. True.
Wait, what did I say?
Amazonian desert.
Say a word.
Think of the things that are associated with sand: quicksand, sandstorms,
That good.
Sandy, that other fish from SpongeBob. Never returned my love letters.
We also asked, what else we asked? We asked,
I
can't remember some of the other questions.
Nothing beats sand.
Yeah. Anyway, the question I was gonna say was, what's the dirtiest phrase you can make through Pokemon euphemisms?
Why the heck would I be in this, man?
Like, I'll dingle your wingle.
Wingle's a Pokemon.
It's just a really bad example. Just
The more shameful thing is that he learned string shot before Harden.
What a pasta.
These are some pretty nice socks,
It's
man.
actually pretty good. I like
The Fila socks.
like the socks I got on now. They're the ankle ones, but they're slightly above the ankle.
Oh, I don't like those.
I really
I don't know.
You're talking about the semantics of... Okay, there's your question. What are your opinions on ankle socks?
So like, I like them when it really depends on what type of shoes I'm wearing and whether I'm wearing shorts with the shoes or not.
What about pants?
If I'm wearing pants,
Yo, Michael bringing down some hard truth. What about pants? bitch.
If I'm wearing pants, I feel like I
Don't
could
you
get away
hate
with the
pants?
socks.
If you wear pants, I
Pants
feel
are
like
the
you can
worst.
wear your socks as high as you want.
I'm taking them off right now.
Oh,
Dude, I
man.
cannot take those kids who walk around with the freaking calf straps. Like, or those dudes who walk around with, like, the marijuana socks all the way up their shins.
Oh, man.
With the shorts, man. Like, what's the point?
We were doing intramural
That's
stuff.
fine, but I'm saying the dudes, like, with the short, with the
man.
marijuana socks up to the middle of their shins.
Yo, with the leaves on them. Yeah.
Man.
Puff, puff,
420.
blaze, blaze.
How many men with marijuana socks are you regularly in contact with?
I work downtown, so it's probably, like,
Ah.
2 ever. I don't know.
It's a scourge,
Yeah,
They're people track down.
They're everywhere.
Calf straps, those things are definitely big in the U.S. Like, I swear.
What, like those like garter ass things where like they keep your socks up?
No, like,
No,
just
no, like
people,
just really long
people like
socks.
wearing their
long
socks super long
And
with
then, like,
sandals
stretch
and
them.
stuff.
Yeah.
Is it when you tuck your pants into your socks?
No, it's just when you
No.
wear really high socks and like running shoes. Like, haven't you been to like certain parts of the States where people just walk out with like
He does that.
with sandals and like the cat? But I'm
Not,
saying
he
like,
doesn't wear sandals.
yeah, you wear them
The
with
only
shoes,
reason
like,
I don't wear
it's not,
sandals
like,
and
up the
socks is
freaking
because
gear.
society's a load of bullshit. I would if I could. I have sweaty feet. It's the only way I keep my sandals.
Yeah. So
But
yeah.
they-
Otherwise, they become environmental hazards. It's terrible. My hands are sweaty right now.
I think mine is
That's
sweaty.
practical though. But I'm saying like people walking out with basketball shorts.
Are you
and freaking
defending? Are you
socks
defending?
all the way up to freaking the middle of their shins. It just looks bad, and I don't understand why people make socks
In
like
the-
that
Well,
length.
most of the time people wear like socks with designs on them. Do that. They don't wear white socks.
Every
Like,
single
like
person
black.
here, other than that guy, is wearing white socks.
White socks up to your calves, though.
Oh no.
What the
There must-
hell?
I've seen
Like,
people wear like kids wear like black socks all the way up to their calves.
Aren't kids into like kid bop and shit?
kids are kids, though.
Yeah, I mean,
But it also happens that you see it with like adults.
I
too.
remember the shit I did as a kid. I'm in no place to judge children.
Everybody loves light up shoes
Honestly.
every time.
Yeah.
That's transcendent of generations.
I fucking
Light up
studied
shoes
a
is
little
the
book
best.
about all the Pokemon and all their attacks, despite not owning a single Pokemon game. Like
I
it
would
was
do
the
the same thing,
Bible.
but-
Like
Oh my
I don't know why. It was just like I've got to learn all of this. This is important.
I still
I
want,
would learn that stuff.
I still want
man.
Heelys.
Yeah, you
You know, awesome.
My cousin had Heelys and he like
they're back now. They're
broke
a
his
thing.
arm. And my mom would never let me get Heelys after he broke his arm.
What the hell?
How do you break around the heel?
No, not down the Grand Canyon! Ah! But he's so cool going down the Grand Canyon.
I just want to see like you like try to be like super slick with the heelys, like just roll up on the ground and be like, hey babe.
No, I'd probably be like,
No,
hey
no,
babe,
it's
where you go? Wait, no, stop, please help! No, I can't stop! Ah!
Now it's the shoes that line up. Hey baby, stop.
I was thinking like the squeaky shoes. Hey baby, how you doing?
It's like the shoes in Achewood where there's this like eternally 7-year-old boy and his mom sends him these special shoes he has to plug in and it's like, what do these do? What? And it shows it running down and there are all these overlapping speech flutes that keep saying, here comes a special boy!
Oh, imagine if you had shoes that like said something every time you like took a step. That'd be amazing.
You actually read today that there's this woman, she's an engineer for like Nike and she made the Marty McFly shoes.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the
They
one
like
that sells.
teased him a while ago too. They teased him
Yeah.
for like
Now, this
the.
is pretty old, but I'm saying like she made them. She graduated like from like one of the Penn States with a degree in like plastics engineering and then worked for
Degree in
Nike.
kick-ass.
So yeah, we went from socks to shoes, bringing it back to socks. I actually like these socks. They're pretty decent.
Pretty nice socks.
I just don't like it. Sometimes I find my ankles are cold. That's why I like these guys. That's why I like these bad boys.
See, I feel like.
Wait, go
ankles
back
are-
to what you were saying. I don't care about these socks. Put them away.
My
Okay,
socks.
fine. Wait, about what I was saying. Oh,
The socks are
you're saying
triggering,
this
Michael.
woman has like my ideal like career trajectory.
Coming up with like sci-fi movie inventions.
No, like
You
going
should look
through
up- you should
school
look
and
up
then working
the
for like
guy
a
who
sports company,
does-
making like cool stuff.
Look at the guy who does not Project X, the X Project.
Project X, wasn't that like the?
No,
wasn't
Yo, that was the movie.
That was the movie
Yeah.
where they
Party.
pissed off some dude and then he burned their house down.
Shit, why can't I remember his name? Fuck.
No,
did-
he burnt. They had a house
I'm
party.
waiting for
Yeah.
the nostalgic
Well, you guys
Silicon
also do
Valley
the
guy to
flamethrower
invent
and
Skynet.
Oh, yeah,
we had a
true.
good run.
That's a flamethrower. Actually.
Yo, crazy neighbors have flamethrowers, man. You
Was
know.
that the dude? No, that was the dude from Mean Girl and the
I
Dying
did
Girl,
see a
wasn't it?
thing that in China apparently they're marketing these miniature flamethrowers that go about half a meter to ward off men who prey on women.
Oh my god.
course.
Yo,
Of course.
that's crazy.
Imagine if
I'm for them, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, you never know when you need a
Imagine being a fuckboy at a bar, knowing that you could like get your fucking head set on fire.
I think it'd be funny if you like put it in your vagina so that like it's like, just take me, baby. That you open up your legs, and just shoots out.
It's sort of like the Destroy Buster from No More Heroes. Then
The person I was talking about was Peter Diamandis.
Okay.
He does a thing called it's like the X something or other, and it's like they basically bring certain things to life. Like
cool.
for example, X Prize. One of the things they did was they brought the from Star Trek, the original series.
Mm-hmm.
They brought the thing that Bones uses, where they could like it goes over your body, and it'll scan and give you a certain amount of like.
Yeah, I've heard about this. I don't know if you
Yeah,
told us.
I told you.
Are you
that.
okay? Never
Probably on
mind.
the last podcast too.
Okay.
But anyway, it was super cool. And it's like that's cool. That's something you should like you go for because X Prize like they have all sorts of stuff every year. So
I can't wait to make a stranger having an awful commute to work completely fucking hate me for talking about inane bullshit.
yes, you guys didn't do the Pokemon.
That's the goal. Yeah.
You guys didn't do the Pokemon thing.
Oh, I don't really care about the Pokemon thing.
Oh, screw that.
But like, I want to talk about this like
Socks.
vagina flamethrower sort of idea we were
I
throwing
saw a
around here.
thing where the guy was like, he had like, it was like rock.
I mean, if
it was
we
like
can
punches.
recreate a dragon's breath, then the logical evolution is flamethrower vagina. Let's be frank here.
Yeah, it just makes
And
sense.
given how much
Come on.
nerds engineers
But
are,
aren't-
this is an inevitable.
Yeah, but it'd be sideways in China. Isn't that a stereotype?
Yeah, where the hell did that come from?
What-
anyway,
Apparently in China, like your vaginas are sideways.
What?
not actually. It was a
Not-
dumb joke someone made. I think I heard it like as a kid. This would have been in the '90s. Like
That's what I heard.
I don't know. We grew up in like Vancouver, so there was a whole lot of like casual racism against the Chinese where we were from. Like
I've never heard that before.
You never
That's
heard that
crazy.
before?
Yeah, no, I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's like just apparently that's what happened.
a whole lot. It was kind of disgusting in retrospect.
Yeah, that's messed
It's a
up.
little
you know.
weird.
I was like looking back and I realized a whole bunch of my friends' moms were just alcoholic when I was in Vancouver.
Oh.
Well, that did have no relation, or very little
Weird
relation
how your
to what
perception
we're talking
of
about.
childhood just gets utterly mutilated.
No, that's crazy.
I mean, I've repressed
How come we
most of
went
my
from
childhood
socks to-
memories.
yeah,
I'm
my
pretty sure I
first
sprang
parents
from
were,
my
alcoholics.
from my father's forehead, fully formed like Athena.
like Athena.
At this point, it might as well be. I've repressed everything.
So that got dark. We went from socks to sadness.
Go to Rouge.com, buy his cows or shit. I don't fucking care. Fuck you!
Well, that's gonna be awesome on Discord.
Meow.